Hey, welcome back and a happy new year. I know it might be a little bit late, but it's still January. And this is my first video back on the channel. So, wow, it's actually quite exciting. And still will be continuing on with the Nollywood series. I just wanted to do a bit of a mix. I had always planned, like, okay, start of next year, I want to start talking more about musical artists. And then I will still interweave on Nollywood because even though I love old Nollywood, and maybe one or two of my friends love old Nollywood, at the end of the day, like that is like last gen, or like those are like former stars. I mean, they're still stars to this days, and they're the legends. But I think some people just might not see it as, I don't know how to put it, not see it as relevant maybe to present day and how the world works, especially because I'm talking about, artists that were I'm talking about the past really and truly, like how I would brand them in the past. I do then towards the end of the videos, if you haven't checked them out, I talk about how I would brand them present day, either if they're still in the limelight or just off of the weight of their name alone. And even just saying that now, I'm like, oh, I watched a video on India Love and it was really good. It was talking about how, I think I'm gonna try to link it down below. It was talking about how she essentially came up in a time where the internet functioned in a very different way, where you could be quiet, which is something I want to talk about here, and you could still make waves. Obviously, I was on the internet that she came up on. I was heavily affiliated. I say heavily affiliated, like gang affiliated, whatever. No, but I love Tumblr, so she was part of like the Tumblr it girls, I would say. And so I came up around that time as well. So I remember like her early pictures and like her early relationships. So I was there for the come up of India Love online. And yeah, that video was talking about how now the fame doesn't reward you for being quiet, essentially, which again is going to be quite a bit of a contrast to what I have to say about the lovely Tems. Because, yes, of course, she's not quiet in the sense that she produces a body of work. So we know her thoughts and feelings about something, which is through her music. But at the same time, she does have a quiet persona. But yeah, that video touched on some interesting things and how you can potentially build a legacy off of the weight of your name, leaning to your strengths. And that's exactly what I like to do. I like to do branding case studies, telling people how, you don't have to shift and morph yourself to become something that you're not. I know the world tries to tell you that you have to. I know that a lot of artists, like when they come out and do interviews, they say, "Oh, like my managers pushed me to do this, and I didn't really want to do that," but they said that's how you're gonna go viral. But the best ascension is authentic ascension, and I think without going too biblical or whatever, but it's like when you come up in a way that is honorable with integrity, should I say, or if you come up with God, God will always allow you to rise in a way that best suits your skills rather than making you shift into someone that you're completely not, that you just do not resonate with. Obviously, everybody has to stretch and everyone has to grow, but yeah, authenticity is key. And I know internet culture and like cringe culture, everything is cringe, tries to like push you back from not wanting to be yourself in fear that you might be cringe. But I was having this discussion with an artist the other day actually, and I told her like, yeah, this idea you're telling me about, I think you should go for it. And she's like, yeah, like I'm just kind of scared about the pushback. I was like, as an artist, you have to be courageous, and part of being courageous is inherently risky and can, to some people, be perceived as cringe or as wrong or as hurtful. But if you convey the meaning of your message, after that, it's not really in your hands. I think I don't know which artist said it that once I create the artwork, it's not mine anymore. The meaning belongs to you. So yeah, just move forward with courage if you are someone who feels like you're watching this and you feel like you can't be yourself because you're scared of being perceived in a negative light or in an embarrassing light. Don't be too worried. Just be yourself because in the end, what really sells and what really magnetizes people towards you for the long run is being authentic. So yeah, as I said, I will link that video down below on India Love. And yeah, maybe I might do a video on her as well because she is an interesting case study. So yeah, if you want to see that, let me know. But I went on a bit of a tangent. Let's get back to Thames. So Yeah, as I said, I love, I love music. And I have quite an eclectic. Sorry, now I'm thinking of Cam Newton, eclectic or eclectic, or whatever he said. But I have quite an eclectic taste, and yeah, she is someone I think no matter what your taste, I don't know anyone who doesn't like Thames, first of all. So that's what makes her a mega star or a superstar or however you want to call it. And okay, something happened and I don't know why, but it's really annoyed me. But yeah, it's gonna I'm gonna be in the middle of talking and then it's gonna glitch to this part, but I'm so sorry. Had a bit of a problem with filming, but yeah, getting back into it. I'm not exactly sure what the last thing I said is, but oh yeah, I think I said I don't know anyone who doesn't like Thames. I believe that's what the last thing I said was. And I believe part of why most people can resonate with her music and enjoy it so much is because she speaks from the heart. So that's why I said she's the African soul megastar. Whether or not that's the right category to put her in, I don't know. But I believe most people would say so. And to be in touch with your emotions, um, in the midst of a generation that is so scared of emotions, that is power. And that gives people a gateway to allow themselves to actually be human, because what's humanity without feelings? If you watched, you know, the Vampire Diaries, then you would know they were like, I have to switch my humanity off and they would turn all their feelings off. I'm just gonna take a drink for a second, but okay, yeah, being in touch with your emotions is very much part of the human experience, but a lot of people for various reasons try to avoid their emotions. And if you are now a music artist, imagine trying to draw millions to you, but you're not connecting with people on a human level. I mean, there's only so far you can go, and there's only so long you can be remembered. Even Drake, with all of his flaws, a lot of the reason why he is big as he is, because people will listen to a song and be like, wow, I've never even broken up with anyone. But now, like, I listen to the song and I feel like I'm in the middle of a breakup. Or he's able to express his emotions and feelings about life so well that it makes you now maybe look at life and question it in ways you hadn't even thought of. So to be a megastar definitely requires you to have that level or grapple of authenticity to a degree that you share with your fans. And I say to a degree because one thing about Thames, she's a quiet babe. Like, I remember she did an advert, now bringing it back into the branding landscape. It was for Jameson Irish whiskey, I believe. And she didn't speak. And yet again, in an era where everyone is clamoring for attention, for her to be able to, even if in jest, influence people, because a lot of people are saying, wow, I'm going to buy this brand because Thames is there. She doesn't have to say anything. You know what? I'm going to drink it. That's real power. Because people can just tell or people believe that you are so authentic. I don't even necessarily believe you would lie and take on a deal just for money, even if she would. So that is power. That is real power in branding. And if you are looking to build your brand, you want to come to the point where nobody feels like you are just shoving an ad down their throat because you have been paid. That's part of the reason why um, there is a delineation now between just being a content creator and actually being an influencer, because many people can make content, many people can create ads on their feed, not many people can influence. And I feel like she's one of the few. Obviously, it could either be an innate thing or it could be because you just seem so honest and so integrous and the way you handle yourself and your life that I'm going to trust you when you do eventually put up an ad, because everybody has to eat at the end of the day. So that is a superpower. So if you feel like, you resonate with this part of her personality, because everyone is unique, lean into that. If you don't want to do 700 ads a day, you want to focus on art but still make money, just know that you'll be able to probably command more price in your pricing, because when you do make an ad, and if you've gauged it well about how people trust you when you maybe recommend things just for free, yeah, you can command top notch, because like I said, everyone can be a content creator but not everyone can be an influencer. So On to the next topic, we have the 7 feminine archetypes. So, if you aren't aware, I like to see where I would position people's public persona, you know, acknowledging the fact that I don't actually know them in real life, and where I feel like they fit in. And this was developed by Aisha K. Faines. And when it comes to Thames, I would say oh my gosh. I've forgotten. Oh yeah, it's the goddess. I would place her in the goddess archetype, and the goddess is the archetype where I believe the lover is your dominant archetype, and the mystic is your secondary archetype. And I say this because she plays it so well. The lover is all about emotions and vulnerability and seduction and influence, and that pretty much sums up her musical, I guess, persona because she's very emotive. Like I said, she speaks from the heart. I put her as a soul megastar. She's also sultry. She has a sultry vibe, sultry look. Look at the eyes. It's always, I mean, that's her natural phenotype, I believe. But then it's enhanced with her makeup and then just the lips. So she has quite a sultry persona. But at the same time, the mystic element of being in the goddess archetype is that she's reserved, she's quiet. I don't see her doing too much, jumping on lives every single second trying to show us that she's real and that she's a human, because when you do that, it can at times come across as performative, or it can just come across as you have little boundaries, or yeah, you're just too much access. Just, I think, what's the saying? Familiarity breeds contempt. And the inverse of that, a little bit of mystery and intrigue, a little bit of mystery creates intrigue. And as long as it's not leaning too far on one side where we feel like we don't know you, as can be the case for Laurie Harvey in the past, still to some extent now, where it's like you don't play the balance well enough between sharing of yourself and actually being mysterious. Nothing wrong with that, but then when you're trying to, sell products, if I don't feel like I know you, I don't know what I'm buying into. Whereas with Thames, we know what we're buying into. And that is expression of freedom. Even if I believe this was the cover of her album. I believe it was one of her albums. Even just the hair, visual identity is king. The hair evokes a feeling of freedom. Even some of the, not scandals, but public incidents she's had, such as when she was on tour with Wizkid and she didn't agree with the way that she was handled on stage. She spoke up about it. Again, that's freedom of expression. That's not fearing, the repercussions of speaking up against someone who's essentially could be seen at the time as a gatekeeper to her career, but she still spoke up. So that boldness and that courage was evident from the start. Again, the boldness and the courage to even be in touch with your emotions when we're living in a world where being in touch with your emotions is somewhat frowned upon, at least, in the general public and in the black community. I don't know how it is in Nigeria, particularly where she grew up, but I speak for myself as someone from the UK. Yeah, that catch flights, not feelings, that is running rampant, and we are seeing the after effects of that saying, play out. So she really embodies that, and we can now know what we are buying into when we listen to her music. And another way that freedom comes up in her messaging is freedom, I guess, from the mundane of everyday life, or freedom from the problems of life. Her music can be a place of comfort for those who, don't want to deal with whatever they're going through. So that's freedom in a sense of escapism. And that is really powerful. I remember as a child, and even till this day, but definitely as a child, fantasy was one of my best or favorite genres of books because it really allowed me to escape into another world, quite literally. So I really enjoy that. I say more so when I was a child because I don't read as much, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't think there's anything more powerful than freedom, to be honest. So if your brand messaging can embody that in some type of way, oh, gold mine. But again, it has to be authentic.
And so now, if I was to pair her with some brands that I feel like she works really well with, I just want to first point out, oh my God, I didn't know the arrow was on there the whole time. I don't know, that's kind of annoyed me. Maybe it hasn't. But yeah, this image in particular, and a lot of her music videos, like the most poignant ones, I see her, in the sand or in a beach or next to some water. So that embodies that sense of freedom. And it also connects with the lover archetype because water is often used as a way to depict, being in touch with your emotions, which she clearly is. So some brands I could see her working with would be some brands in the space of like luxury swimwear and her being like the face of a campaign. I think that would work really well. I could also see her having her own line of like sea charm type pendants. So similar to like a Pandora, but more on like the nautical side in terms of divine design inspiration. And then on the flip side, when it comes to freedom, there is that fiery essence that probably relates more to her courage. So that's why I put in brands like Red Bull. I think that would be a great partnership. And Red Bull is really great at doing cultural marketing. So as she is someone who is a part of the pop culture zeitgeist, Tems, Red Bull, if you haven't already worked together, let's get something going. If you need me to broker a deal, let's get something going. But yeah, I think she would work great. They often obviously have floats for carnival if that's something that she'd be open to like being a participant in, not necessarily the face of their carnival campaigns. Because I do think you should, you know, if it's going to be the face of carnival, let's make sure we leave enough room for the Caribbean to, carnival essentially belongs to. So yeah, but that fiery nature, the red, which evokes feeling of passion, I think that works well for her. On the flip side, because she has that calm and quiet demeanor, I did put in brands like Rare Beauty because it's not a in your face type of brand. Not the fact that it's not known, but just the messaging behind it. Even the name Rare. Like I said, I've been saying throughout this video, someone like a Thames is rare in our modern day society, especially as a star. But even if it wasn't Rare Beauty, just brands that have more makeup brands that have a more relaxed demeanor and a relaxed brand persona, I think that would work well. And finally, we have Mac because one thing about Mac, they're gonna give you a good lip combo, okay? And one thing about Thames, she gonna give you a good lip combo, okay? And one thing about Black women, we gonna eat up a good lip combo. So I think that would be a gold mine, honestly. Her having a collaboration. I know Ryan Destiny did a lip duo kit with Mac as well. I don't know how long those partnerships last, to be fair, but I could see her having an extended line with them for sure. So that's just a few examples of the kind of brands that I would feel work best with her. When it comes to actually having her own brand, because she is someone who's so in touch with her emotion, is so reflective, I've just drafted up an image of like a potential line of journal books that she could release under her name. The Free Mind by Thames, you've got the orange. And it could look anyway. She has obviously moved on from the orange. But in general, I think there was a reason why that song became a breakout song for her when she came out with that album. And yeah, the free and freedom, as I said before, freedom is one of the greatest things you can have. And if that can be aligned with your brand, definitely lean into that. So I don't know what the margins are like being in the stationery industry. I can imagine if you have a name like hers, which holds weight, like the costs are probably relatively low for the margin you can make. And then once you start with journals, you can extend into anything. You can extend into, adjacent pens or other types of journals, planners for the year. Um, Speaking of free mind, now I'm thinking of the app Calm. So she could also actually maybe make her own mental wellness app. And if she wanted to have like a niche, if she really needed to, maybe it could be like a mental wellness app for performers and like ways that down regulates herself on tour when she's on concerts, like giving tips on how to like calm your mind before going out on stage, what to do afterwards, to not get too attached to the fame. There's so many ways, but that would be a very interesting niche for her. And yeah, that just kind of came top of mind right now. But once you have a knack for branding, like idea generation is absolutely nothing. But ideas are currency, so they're absolutely everything. But yeah, that's just what I enjoy doing. So I've enjoyed speaking about terms. I hope you have enjoyed watching this video. And just a brief summary, I would say clarity is king or queen. When it comes to terms, the most prominent word that comes to mind that aligns with her personal brand is freedom. And the fact that we are all able to resonate with that and see that in her shows that whether or not it was a completely conscious effort, she has built an amazing and very strong personal brand. Secondly, I would say intrigue comes from the perfect balance of mystery and emotional vulnerability. And tying on to emotional vulnerability, authenticity. No one likes to, well, most people don't like to stand someone who they feel like isn't being themselves at the end of the day. Even problematic people, the reason people gravitate towards them is like, well, at least they're being authentic, you know? So, yeah, finding the perfect balance for yourself is definitely key. And last but not least, yeah, quiet confidence can attract millions. So if you are someone who has more of a quiet persona or quiet confidence, don't feel afraid to launch your brand in the present day where you feel like you have to be loud to make waves. You absolutely do not. Thames is a perfect example. It's just a matter of being smart about when and how you are quiet, essentially. But you don't have to give up your soul just, to make money. So yeah, I am Miele Rayon. Thank you so much for watching my video and tuning into my channel. There will be more of these, like I said. And if you're more interested in the Nollywood ones, they're coming. Okay? And if this sounds like you, maybe you're, like I said, someone who has more of a quiet persona, but you don't know how you can turn that into a brand, then definitely check out the link in my description box. Or if you're the complete opposite, check out the link in my description box. Okay, I'm from everyone. I love helping people create brands that actually align with their true selves. And yeah, I will catch you in the next one. Bye.